Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E. Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KNBR. And this week, the Niners finally made a trade. They went out and added to the roster, and they went out and got a defensive end from the Patriots who could potentially help beef up this pass rush.
Hey everyone, it's Dwayne Boyd, four-time Super Bowl champion. And this week the 49ers are going into New York, and it's going to have to do a great job of protecting the quarterback because these guys can get after the quarterback. One guy that's very good at rushing the passer is Burns. He has 10 sacks already in the season, and you would think, with Thibodeau, he only has 2.5 sacks, but they can get after the quarterback when they want to. But also, it's a team that has a letdown as the game goes on too, as what happened to them in Denver a few weeks ago.
What's happening, everybody? Brian Peacock of Locked On 49ers. And are the 49ers done trading? And hey, how about this? All those extra pass rushers the New York Giants have, how about one of those guys just boards the plane, comes back to the Bay Area with the San Francisco 49ers?
That would be nice. We'll get into all of this and more right now.
To all the faithful, it's the 49ers Squad. Everything San Francisco 49ers every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from Levi's Stadium. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. For those faithful to the Bay, the 49ers Squad Show starts now.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. Shout out to all our everydayers tuning in on the Locked On 49ers YouTube channel or listening on the Locked On 49ers podcast feed. However you're tuning in, we appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe if you aren't already. And today's show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. I actually just used Gametime to head to a concert over the weekend and got tickets literally 10 minutes before the concert started. So shout out Gametime, man. They're always coming through in the clutch. And one thing that we wish the 49ers would have done last week is come through in the clutch as well. You know, they were driving late in the game and couldn't pull it off ultimately against the Texans. But you shift gears, you're going into New York, and I'm a little surprised. Like, we got a lot to get into with trades and stuff, but just off the top, today I was doing some prep for the show as I usually do on Wednesdays, and I noticed that the Giants are favored in this game by 2.5 points, or they're getting 2.5 points on ESPN Bet, but on the matchup predictor on ESPN.com, Giants are favored to win 56.3%. And am I crazy for thinking the 49ers should be favored in this game, Brian?
There's no rhyme or reason to anything going on with the San Francisco 49ers or really in the NFL at large. And I've been wrong every time. The line looks wrong, which ends up meaning it's right because somehow every time I pick against the Niners, they win. Every time I pick for the 49ers, they lose. I thought the line was wrong the last 2 weeks. Turns out it was more right than I was. So I have no idea what to think. I would think the 49ers should be favored over the New York Giants. And I know the Niners didn't look good last week, but the Giants are banged up in their own right. And they do have some strengths on that football team. But and they're at home, which is big. And it's an early game. And I do think that does play a big factor in the betting markets when a team on the West Coast goes and plays one of those 10 a.m. start times. And we didn't go good for the San Francisco 49ers against the Houston Texans last week. And so clearly folks think that's going to happen that way again. But the New York Giants, I don't think, are as good of a football team as the Houston Texans. I know the Texans don't have a good record this year, but, man, D'Amico Ryan's defense was on point last week. And I know the front is really nice for the New York Giants, but rookie quarterback, Cam Scadaboo's hurt. I think we can talk more about a lot of that. I think the line is wrong again. But you know what? Very likely I'm wrong because that's the way this has gone this season.
Yeah, and also a guy who the Giants have been missing for most of the season now at this point, Malik Neighbors. So you're missing your two biggest weapons on offense if you're the New York Giants. Jackson Dart has been just a shot in the arm for them, a shot of adrenaline. He's looked pretty good so far this year with, some limited guys around him. He's making Wan'Dale Robinson look like a serviceable wide receiver out there in New York. And but it's more so this defense, I think, is what you're going to be talking about with this New York Giants team. Of course, Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo getting the national spotlight, but the drive of what is making this team go and actually, I'm not going to say win games because they're 2-6. They haven't won a whole lot this year, but they've been, I think, a lot closer in a lot of games than people have anticipated. They've looked better. Like they passed the eye test at certain points, but then Jackson Dart will go and do a rookie quarterback thing, and they'll end up losing the game. But this defensive front for the New York Giants, you got a lot of pass rushers out there, and Brian Burns, starts with him. He is a monster to try and stop off the edge. And Kevon Thibodeau, also a guy who's going to do some damage. Abdul Carter, they just drafted very early in this year's draft. So, I mean, you got pass rushers galore out there. Dexter Lawrence still anchoring that defensive tackle spot for them. So this defensive line is very good for the New York Giants. And we saw the 49ers have a lot of issues last week against the Texans trying to stop that pass rush, and specifically Will Anderson just eating them alive all day long. Dwayne, what do you think that they can do to stop Brian Burns? Last week you said maybe they needed to chip some more. Is that the key this week?
Yeah, you can never chip enough. And the problem is with the 49ers is they want to scat 5 guys all the time. They don't want to keep in an extra guy for protection or slow release someone out in the flat, or on a check down. They can throw check downs all day long. Just have Kittle chip at the line and help, and then release on check down. And once he gets the hands on the ball in his hands, he makes things happen when he's running with it. So I think it's some stuff that they can do to slow the rush down. It's always something you can do. But the 49ers seem to always want to release 5 guys, and that don't get it against a great pass rush. You got to chip. And like I always said, defensive linemen don't like it when they're chipped at the line of scrimmage.
I hope George Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk and whoever else is coming out of the backfield or off the tight end spot to chip those defensive ends, I hope they're pissing off Brian Burns all day long. If that's the case, then Dwayne, because you can't let what happened last week happen again this week. You cannot let the one guy out there that you have to key in on go out and beat you. And I feel like that's what happened against the Texans, right? Will Anderson came in there, and he was the one guy who you knew you had to stop him and Danielle Hunter to have any sort of a chance to win that game. And the 49ers absolutely did not do that. And a part of it was, I mean, it wasn't just one thing, right? Like the 49ers did virtually nothing well in their game last week. They possessed the ball for less than 20 minutes and let the defense run roughshod all over that offense. And we're just living in the backfield. Will Anderson, as we talked about, got away with a couple, minor hits to the head with that hand that probably should have drawn at least a flag in one or, 2 of those probably 3 situations that I personally counted. But ultimately, you got to find a way to stop the star player on the other side. I mean, it sounds simple, but it's not really as simple as that, right? Like if the game script goes the wrong way for the 49ers, you can maybe see a repeat of what we saw last week, which was Shanahan kind of getting away from running the football and things kind of devolving for the 49ers. They didn't really use the quick pass game to their advantage. In fact, it was the Texans using the quick pass game to eat the 49ers defense alive. So, Brian, how do the 49ers this week make sure they stay on schedule and can get that run game going against this against this Giants D line?
Well, and Dwayne kind of talked about it. When you are, a 245-pound edge rusher, and you want to stay a little clean, you want to look pretty, you want to pin your ears back and go after guys on third down. Are they going to be ready to take on Trent Williams in the run game? And Trent Williams has still been a monster in the run game, and he's been not as good dealing with power. And so is Abdul Carter and Brian Burns going to push Trent Williams back into the quarterback? I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this is going to be something that's a lot closer to the Atlanta Falcons game as far as going against this front. Now, they do have big Dexter Lawrence inside as well. They got a lot of talent in that front 7. So they might not run the ball quite as well as they did against the Atlanta Falcons, but it should be a better day for them up front running the football than it was against the Houston Texans. And then you probably can take a little bit more advantage of the back end of that defense as well in the pass game when you do get to third down. So I like the matchup a little bit better this week than I did last week against the Houston Texans. And you know how Kyle Shanahan operates his offense. He wants to be able to call a lot of run plays. And to call a lot of run plays, the defense has to show up. You have to stay in front of the sticks. You need some long drives, and you've got to keep the ball on with the offense. And the 49ers were absolutely not able to do that, and the game script got away from them. And that is not how Kyle Shanahan wants to operate. And so we'll see if the 49ers can take it to the Giants in the run game first to set up everything else on offense and try to keep Mac Jones clean that way with them third and shorts instead of third and longs.
Yeah, and the 49ers were not very good on converting third down or stopping the Texans on third down either. The Texans looked great on third down, converted more than half of them. They were the 31st ranked team at converting third downs coming into that game against the 49ers. And the 49ers defense was a top 10 defense at stopping opposing teams on third down. So it seemed like something that was going to go the 49ers way. Did not do that. But as far as how they can kind of get that offense rolling and keep that offense on the field a little bit more, Michael in the chat, he wants to see some screens, man. And so do I. We've talked about this a few times on this show. I feel like the screen game has just not really been there for the 49ers as of late, and not nearly as much as it kind of used to be with Shanahan. And I should have probably pulled some stats on that to compare, but just the visual, the eye test to me tells me that they're just not kind of working in those same little wrinkles anymore. I haven't seen very many tight end screens this year at all. And that's one of my favorite plays that this 49ers offense generally runs to kind of get Kittle out there into space. And granted, Kittle's been hurt for a lot of this season, but I would like to see some things like that, some little wrinkles that we know that Shanahan can incorporate into this offense that is all, of course, predicated on the run game. You got to get Christian McCaffrey going. That is first and foremost the most important thing, in my opinion, in the Meadowlands. You cannot go out there and just go 3 and out on that first drive again and let that Giants defense get a little bit of a head of steam. Dwayne, when you got a defense that's going kind of like how the Texans defense did last week against the 49ers, right? Where you're getting these third down stops over and over and over again. It's got to build you up to make you feel like this team, they can't do anything on third down. We absolutely control this game right now. And when you feel that way, it's got to make you play better, right? And if the Giants start feeling that way, I think that might spell some trouble for the 49ers.
Well, the thing that showed up was big last week was on first and second down, they wouldn't get no positive yardage to get them into a either or situation on third and 3 and 3rd and 2. They was always third and plus along here. So with that, it's hard to get something going. You gotta slow somebody down, and the best way to slow them down is Sunday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? First thing Kyle Shanahan's pupil came out in was he came out in 12 personnel, 2 tight ends and 1 back, okay? What did he do? He moved the ball all over the field with that. And the 49ers got the same situation. They have a tight end just as good as the Green Bay tight end, right? And also bring the extra tight end in. Also, he's a check down guy. So you're getting 2 things in one. So, and Kittle, I've said it 1,000 times, when he gets the ball in his hands, he knows what to do with it. He knows to get up the field. He knows how to break tackles. He knows how to drag people. And that's what he have to do. He can't go out there and try to play with 4 wide receivers or 3 wide receivers. He's got to get more creative, okay? And that's what killed him last week. I didn't see no creativeness in none of his play calling last week. He just went out there and called plays for some reason. I guess he thought it was going to be a walk in the park, but it wasn't. It was a battle in the park.
It was tough. There was no walking at all in the park for the Niners last week. I think you got to get Kittle involved. I know you slow play it. He had the hamstring injury. You're out for 5 weeks. I get not wanting to give him put too much on his plate the first week back. You're running the ball well against the Atlanta Falcons. He did have the touchdown last week, but I'm talking about 10, 12 targets for George Kittle in this game, man. Get him involved. Get him truly involved in the passing game. It's one of the true matchup problems you can create for another football team. And it used to be Christian McCaffrey, and it hasn't been that in the run game either. He's been more valuable in the pass game than the run game. So, yeah, get the ball out quick against those pass rushers. Get the ball over the middle of the field to George Kittle. the lone yak bro that still exists on the 49ers. I want to see a big George Kittle football game. He's going to be important in the run game, as he always is, but let's see 10 targets for George Kittle too. He's the number one right now on this team as a receiver.
Yeah, Kittle on the season, he's only got 11 targets for this whole season.
Yeah.
That's hard to fathom. I know that he's missed a lot of games, but 3 games, 11 targets for George Kittle. He's averaging just over three targets a game, or 3 targets a game in games when he's actually out there on the field. That's got to go up. You cannot win this game if you're only giving George Kittle 3 opportunities to touch the football.
Hey, and George, he probably goes home and tells his wife every night, I don't understand why I don't get the ball because I'm always open. Okay. And if he's not triple covered, he can still catch the ball. He caught the ball in triple coverage last week, and it doesn't matter. He's always open.
Out of Mac Jones' hands, like, oh, that's a pick. It's
Yeah.
like, how did it get there? Great adjustment. It was actually the only place Mac Jones could throw it. So it was actually a really nice throw. And when you see the replay of it in different angles and George Kittle making a nice adjustment to that ball, that was a really nice pitch and catch. But when you see a play like that and you're like, okay, and you're going to target him, 2 other times in the entire football game? Get the man the football.
I know it. He's going to figure out a way. Get it close to him. He's going to catch it, okay? Yeah. But that's what right now they got an identity crisis right now because they don't know who they want to go with. And you can see that McCaffrey's not getting it done by himself. Like last week, they started keying on him. And
if I'm defending the 49ers, I'm like, Mac Jones to Kendrick Bourne. That worked great on the Patriots, didn't it? Sure, go ahead, beat us there. I'm going to do everything I can to stop Christian McCaffrey in the ground game and take my chances in the pass game. And that's what you're seeing teams do against the 49ers right now. And that's why I think George Kittle could open things up down the seam a little bit.
Well, is Ricky coming back this week?
Probably not. It's not likely. Ricky Pearsall did not practice today with the knee. So, I mean, I don't know when this guy is ever going to get back on the field. And it feels very, very 49ers of them, right? To let this unfold the way it has, where every week they're like, oh, he's close, and then next week you don't see him on the practice field, and then he misses another game. And then you hear Shanahan in his presser say, oh yeah, but I like what Ricky's doing on the sideline, and he's out there running, with everyone else who's not practicing. And no, he's very likely not going to play. Brock's status also uncertain. He got in a limited practice yesterday, but we've seen him with a lot of limited practices so far, and he has not played a football game yet since that Jags game. So I don't know that Brock is going to be ready either. And you continue to look through this roster. As Sam Okwanu didn't practice, Alfred Collins didn't practice, Jake Brendel didn't practice, Yetur Gross-Matos didn't practice, Bryce Huff didn't practice, D. Winters did not practice, and that one might be a big one. I think we got to get into that linebacker discussion a little bit on the other side. But Keion White, they did go out and add Keion White to this team, and I think that hopefully he can add a little bit to this roster. But I mean, I don't know, man. Keion, he just got added to the team, obviously via trade. So, Brian, do you think he's actually going to be able to suit up for Sunday's game?
He came right to town and got right into practice. And I think you can at least be a rotational player. And Dwayne could probably talk about that as a defensive lineman. You don't have to know anything with the playbook as a defensive lineman. Come on, you don't have to be smart on that side of the ball anyways, right, Dwayne? Can you come in on a Wednesday?
Once you've been in the league for as long as he has, it's easy to pick up somebody's defense because you know the basics of every defense in the NFL, basically. So he knows he'll be able to be some help, but I don't know if he'll be a lot. At least he's a spot. He can take it up a spot.
You know who'd be a perfect fit for Robert Saleh's defense and Chris Kocurek, the defensive coach? You know who'd be the perfect type of player is a young Dwayne Board. Because that's the type of player they like right now. They want to bring in a defensive end that's got some size, that's got some ability to get after the quarterback, that has a versatile skill set, and that is not afraid to take a 15 when it's called for. Right? I think Dwayne Board was in the wrong area. He would be a perfect current San Francisco 49er. Although actually you were in the right area because you got the rings to prove it.
Yeah, but I can tell you this: they don't make them anymore part.
It's
quit
hard to find
producing
the
those.
vintage parts for those these days. That's true.
Yeah. You won't be able to find an all-around guy. You'll find one guy that's going to be able to play the run, and one guy that's going to rush the passer. It's hard to find them.
I'm intrigued by Keion White's ability to rush from the interior. And I think they hoped they would get a little bit more from Mykel Williams as a pass rusher, from Alfred Collins as a pass rusher. I don't think it's, a statement that they don't like their rookie class or anything like that. But Keion White's ability as a rusher from the inside is probably where he'll make his biggest impact, at least right away for the San Francisco 49ers. And I think he can do that similar thing that we've seen from Mykel Williams. We've seen it from Arden Key. We've seen it from Charles Omenihu, who he's most similar to as far as like height, weight, speed. And man, Keion White is a specimen. And, he was sort of a raw player. He was a former tight end. He was an older prospect when he came out in the draft. But, man, he's big. He's athletic. And he has shown an ability to rush from the interior more than the edge. And he was used he was not going to be used correctly by the current regime in New England. And so that's why he was available for the 49ers. So, and there's some personality stuff there apparently with him. Maybe he's not he's an interesting character, I think is the way to put it. Not that he's a bad guy or not that people don't like him, but apparently there's some interesting personality stuff with him that didn't go great at some point in New England there. So I'm interested to see what Keion White looks like. He certainly looks the part, and all you got to do is be a rotational guy and get after the quarterback a little bit, and I think he can do that specifically from the interior.
Yeah, I've heard the comparisons a lot to Omenihu, and I do really like that kind of a guy to the way that he would profile with this team. I mean, it's going to be really hard for the 49ers, I think, to generate any kind of pass rush with what they got, right? But any kind of assistance that they can get with Keion White and him being added to this team will really, really, really help out this squad. We got to take a quick break here. Hopefully, we can try and figure out this echo, man. As soon as Dwayne, as soon as we got you back in, we got this echo going on. So we'll try and figure that out during this break, and we'll get back on the other side. And we got to talk about slowing down this Giants pass rush, and we got to talk about the rest of the trade opportunities that are still out there for the San Francisco 49ers. A lot still to get into on today's show here on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Don't go anywhere. Today's show is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same innovation and intention to how we craft every model. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. And with the winter right around the corner, man, you know that I'm going to be getting up to the snow a lot. Got to make sure I'm getting there safe, and Mazda's all-wheel drive can absolutely help with that. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, joined by my guys, Brian Peacock, host of the Locked On 49ers podcast, and four-time Super Bowl champion, Dwayne Board. And guys, I don't know, man. I want to feel better about this game, but this defensive front scares me for the New York Giants, and I think that the 49ers are still lacking. I know that they just got they just beefed up that defensive line. They just got Keion White from the Patriots, but if he does play in this game this weekend, I still think that it's going to be not enough to kind of counteract what the Giants are going to be able to do with their front four. And so for the 49ers, there's a lot of things out there that you could still do as far as going to make a trade, maybe not to help you in this game, but definitely would help you in the future. And I'm talking, of course, about the number one guy that we have kind of, kicked around. There's a few names I want to mull over here, but let's start here. Trey Hendrickson. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, pretty heavily connecting the 49ers with Trey Hendrickson this week. And they're not the only team that's supposedly in the runnings, and Cincinnati has reportedly kind of just turned away all suitors up until recently, and they're now starting to kind of entertain some of these talks a little bit more. Brian, how are you feeling about the Trey Hendrickson angle specifically?
I think the loss to the Jets was a big one for the potential Trey Hendrickson market. The Cincinnati Bengals are just an organization that's run different, and they always do weird stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And they're the toughest organization in the NFL to deal with as far as trades, as far as players trying to get contracts. And so both of those aspects, Trey Hendrickson knows better than anybody else. And so when it comes to the Bengals, I don't know if it's any other team, I would say, yes, I think that this is something that could potentially get done. But because it's the Bengals, I just have no idea how they're going to operate this thing. And they're probably asking for too much. And it just seems so difficult to make moves with the Cincinnati Bengals and get anything done with that front office. But the fit would be great. And I think I mentioned Keion White fits more as an interior rusher, as a rotational guy. They brought in Clelin Ferrell. I think that, and they signed him to the practice squad. So, that's more of a replacement for Travis Gibson. They got, poached off the 49ers practice squad. So I don't think that Ferrell and Keion White factor in so much that the 49ers wouldn't still be looking around for potentially another player. And they could still have a pure edge guy that can give you some more pressure off of the edge. So if the 49ers were to add a player, I would expect them now to be focused a little bit more on someone who can bring pressure off the edge, whether it's Trey Hendrickson or I think we got to talk about Kayvon Thibodeau potentially with the New York Giants, because they got an extra guy on that defense. And that team's, let's be honest, I don't think they're going anywhere this year in New York, and they got to look ahead. And I think their guys are Brian Burns and Carter going forward. Then you look at Robert Saleh's old team and someone like Will McDonald, who can give you that juice off the edge. The 49ers are pretty good stopping the run. You got a couple of big ends. You got Clelin Ferrell. You got Keion White. These are large dudes on the outside, but someone that can give you that outside pass rush, I think would be the ticket for the 49ers. They still have, I think, an opening for that player. And according to reports, the 49ers are still active and aggressive there. So we'll see. I think they could possibly get a deal done. And Trey Hendrickson, if he's the best, I mean, I don't think Max Crosby's realistic. Trey Hendrickson's the best realistic option for a player who could be, if you put 97 on his back, you'd be like, you know what? That does kind of look like Nick Bosa out there. He can give you, he's the closest thing that the 49ers could come to that. And it would be a rental, so it shouldn't cost a lot. And maybe you recoup some of that from a comp pick and get a late third back. So if you can trade a third and end up getting a late third back a year later, I think that would be worth it for the 49ers, who are still 5-3.
So you're telling me it might be easier for the Bengals to get a deal done, to trade for a quarterback within their own division, trade with a division rival to get a quarterback who started the season for that team as their starting day quarterback. It's going to be easier for them to get that done than a deal like this, is what you're telling me.
Well, absolutely. And it's not because of the other team. It's because of them. They were willing to pay for a quarterback and they got one. They're just not willing to accept trade offers to them is the biggest problem for the Cincinnati Bengals. So I'm going to be skeptical on the Trey Hendrickson front until I actually see something get done.
I hope that the Bungles, I think we can officially call them the Bungles again this year, right? I mean, the way that they've been playing, you lose to the Jets, you get to be the Bungles again. That's just the rules. But the Cincinnati Bungles,
the worst defense in the league, and then actually get worse and sign more receivers. Let's do that this offseason, right?
Just
Bengals for you.
Spend all the money you possibly can on offense. I mean, the Bengals kind of knew what they were getting into going into this season, which is kind of funny because that Joe Burrow has not been the epitome of health in his time, and they did not. I mean, I guess maybe they had some faith that Browning could maybe keep that boat afloat, like he did last year when he went out. But I mean, you knew that this team was one injury away from completely collapsing the way that roster was built. Hopefully, it gives the Niners a little bit of an angle in.
And the Bengals got a new defensive coordinator because they thought that was the problem. And Lou Anarumo's defense is now awesome for the Colts, and the defense is even worse for the Cincinnati Bengals. So clearly that wasn't it. And Lou Anarumo was like, no S. I know that wasn't what the problem was, but thank God I'm in Indianapolis now and not in Cincinnati. Dwayne, do you trust GMs, though? Because Kayvon Thibodeau is still super interesting to me because he could be a part of the 49ers going forward, and he's got more of a complete skill set at defensive end. And I just feel like he should be available from the Giants, who weren't going anywhere, and when I hear Kyle Shanahan say, when he's asked about, Juwan Jennings, he's like, I'd be surprised if he was traded. Like,
Would you really?
I don't know if I believe you. When I hear a GM say, "Oh, we're not trying to trade this player," the first thing I think of is, I don't believe you.
Yeah, don't believe it but one thing about the Giants, John Mara, he's a pretty straight up guy.
Mm-hmm.
So if he says it's going to be guaranteed that it's not going to happen. But right now, like you said, if the Giants, they're not going nowhere. The division is going to keep them from going anywhere but higher up in the draft, right? So I would think that they should get rid of him and use that draft pick to make their team better, bring in someone else. But right now, he would be great. He'd be a great fit too for the 49ers. And I think, dealing with the Bengals now, you don't never know what's going to happen with them, like you said. But the thing with them is, okay, they're going to lose him anyway, right? At the end of the year, because they don't pay nobody. All the money went on offense. They don't believe in paying no defensive players. They drafted a linebacker who's doing quite well. So they're probably looking at right now, well, if we get more draft picks, what can we do? We can find another rusher, just like we found him. So,
well, did you guys see the New York Giants on Hard Knocks? You guys watch Hard Knocks? There was that scene where Mara was trying to figure out who they were, doing the whole breakdown on who they were going to draft, and there was that very famous scene where he went and he asked his kids, who should I draft? Who do you think I should draft? And notoriously, his son's pick would have worked out a little better than where Mara ended up going. So for if you're a Giants fan, maybe you're hoping that Mara goes to his son and says, "Hey man, you think I should trade Thibodeau? And who do you think we should ask for back?" Because I think the Giants are a team that has kind of shown you over and over again that they're not really making a whole lot of the right choices. I mean, maybe this year is a little bit different with Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo, who would have been, we were just talking about this before we got the show started, would have been one of my, it would have been awesome for me personally if the 49ers drafted Scatterbo. I was super high on him coming out of college. He would have been a super fun 49er, a guy who grew up a 49er fan, and would have been the clear backup to Christian McCaffrey, but maybe not just in that backup role, could have mixed him in other ways. Nonetheless, that's something that we can maybe speculate on a little bit later in the show. But I think that you have to be able to think that somebody, like you're saying, Brian, the Giants have to move one of those guys, right? Because you got 3 edge rushers essentially, and you only got 2 spots to play those guys at a time on the field. And this is a team that is very needy in a lot of other spots, but you can see the future for the Giants, right? Like this is a team who has got to be eager to take on draft picks. I would absolutely think that this team would want to just hoard as many of them as humanly possible and build around Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo. Of course, who knows? Because that would be the smart, logical, obvious thing to do. But the Giants do not have the track record to show that they are going to do that smart, correct, obvious thing. So who knows? Hopefully the 49ers can leave this weekend with Kayvon Thibodeau in tow and bring him back here to the Bay and beef up this pass rush a little bit, man, because I'm really tired of seeing opposing quarterbacks just stand there and just have all the time in the world. I mean, I feel like CJ Stroud had time to call like his mom, his grandma, his aunt, anybody in the family that he hadn't talked to in like the last 10 years. He had time to sit back in that pocket and just call and get that going. And Brian had Brian had to get going. He had a recording he had to go do. So me and Dwayne will finish the show from here. But Dwayne,
you talk about time in the pocket. He had time enough to order DoorDash. But going back to one thing that Brian mentioned was about GMs. One thing that always bugged me about some of the GMs was the relationship they had with agents, because some agents push their players on GMs, say, "Oh yeah, we can sign him. You won't have a problem. He won't hold out," and all of that. And that's a big deal. I think the draft is more controlled by the agents a lot of times than the draft itself. So you're going to draft the best player, draft the best player. Don't listen to the agent.
Yeah,
The agent don't know. All he's doing is trying to make money.
We've seen the Giants be involved with a pretty famous situation with that when the Eli Manning Phillip Rivers situation when Eli was basically like, I'm not going to the Chargers, and he ended up on the Giants, and worked out for him. Ultimately worked out for Phillip Rivers too in that situation.
It worked out for them both.
But yeah, that's a good example of that.
Well, going back in the old days, you can go back. How about the deal with Elway? John Elway didn't want to go to the Colts, and then he ended up going to Denver and
changed the course of football history.
Changed the course, yeah. So,
it's I mean, there's a lot that the 49ers I think can still do in this before the trade deadline. I mean, there's Quinnen Williams is reportedly available too. The Jets have kind of rebuffed some of those reports, but I think Quinnen Williams is another guy that you can go out and target, and maybe he's more of an interior rusher. And as we've kind of been talking about this, they need guys on the outside to rush the quarterback. But Dwayne, when you think of a guy like Quinnen Williams, do you think that he would be a good fit in this 49ers D-line?
Well, I think he will, because he, from rushing inside, I've watched him. He does a great job of pushing the pocket. And when you can get pressure up in the middle, it helps quite a bit. And all you need is a couple of rushes to just, run upfield, because somebody's going to flush. The quarterback's going to get flushed by the inside rush. But I can't see the Jets getting rid of Quinnen Williams, because he's such a force in the middle for the Jets. I think it's hard for them to get rid of him. But like you said, where the Jets going to go? They won one game, and they probably won't win another one the rest of the year. But I really do. He would be a great fit. Anybody would be a great fit right now, because like we got all they have now is a bunch of refrigerator magnets. Like I've been saying, they run down the middle and get stuck and can't get off the block. So hey,
and the one guy who I keep coming back to, and I think I've brought him up every single show for probably.
I know you was going to bring up, because I'm gonna bring him up for you. I'm gonna bring him up for you, huh? Sebastian.
Yep, Valdez. Yep. We got to get him up from the practice squad, man.
I'm with you on that.
In an NFL game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The guy, all he did was bust his tail in preseason and made plays. I don't care who you was lining up against. You're lining up against NFL players. It doesn't matter. But he held his own, and I don't understand why they don't give him a chance.
Yeah, that he is the one guy who I think you could pretty much know that he's going to be able to generate a pass rush. Like that, you don't really have anybody else on this team, I don't think at least, who's going to be able to generate a pass rush the same way that he was able to. I know it was the preseason, but like you said, he's still going up against NFL players, and he's got to be able to contribute. Like, why else would you keep this guy around on your practice squad except for this exact situation, right? Like this is the moment that you kept him around for. Use him. Go down there and go get him and put him on a plane to New York, and let's see what he can do, man. Like, let's see him get after Jackson Dart on that awful Meadowlands turf, and hopefully, we don't see any more lower body injuries out there on that field, because we've seen a ton over the years. But I would really like to see the 49ers go get Valdez and just turn him loose. Like, just give him a really simplified game plan. Maybe only use him on third downs and just say, hey, man, go get the quarterback. Give him no other responsibilities. Just go get the quarterback. And I think that could give him an opportunity to have some success, right?
Right. I think the guy has some talent. And you said it, put him in on third down. It's easy on third down, because right now these guys don't run no games and they don't blitz that much. So it's easy. They just line up and go hunt.
Just doing refrigerator magnet style Russian. Hopefully Valdez or somebody else can switch that up and change some things on that 49ers pass rush, because, man, it just does not look very good right now. And I know it's the Giants. I know they only have 2 wins. I know that you're missing Cam Scadaboo and Malik Neighbors, but I'm not 100% confident that the 49ers are going to go in there and just steamroll this team like they should. But I mean, again, if the running game starts playing a little bit better, or starts going a little bit better than it was against the Texans, or than it really has in most of the games this year, I think that could really boost the 49ers chance to beat this Giants team. One other thing they're going to need to do is stop Jackson Dart. Probably the only job that you got on offense or on defense, if you're the 49ers, is to slow down the New York Giants quarterback. Let's get into that next here on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Today's show is brought to you by Gametime. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between quotes, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. And as I was saying earlier on in the show, I just used Gametime last weekend to go get a concert ticket. Literally 15 minutes before that concert started, I got in the Waymo to head on over there. Waymo is essential for getting to your late night concert endeavors. And you know, I bought the ticket as soon as I got in the car, and it was in my wallet, in my Apple Wallet, before I got to the venue. Gametime, so easy to use. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and we're down a Brian Peacock, but we still got four-time Super Bowl champion Dwayne Board here. And Dwayne, man, I'm curious. If you're the 49ers defense, what are you doing to stop Jackson Dart and the New York Giants offense? I know they don't have Cam Skadaboot, but I don't want to overlook this Jackson Dart kid. I mean, he has given them a ton of life and is really invigorated that Giants offense. I mean, looks a lot better than Russell Wilson did at the beginning of the year, right?
For real. You know, the thing about he's the second leading rusher on the Giants team. And one thing you don't want to do against a guy like him, because he can eat up some ground, is play man coverage. And you know how we are in man coverage, that once he breaks the pocket, who's going to catch him? He's got that sneaky speed. Some guys don't have it, but he has it. I don't think, though, that he's still learned to read defenses in the NFL. So if you're able to disguise a lot of your coverages and don't just line up in what you're going to play, he has problems with it. So that's one thing that will help the 49ers, and hopefully they don't get the passing game going. And our guys got to cover. They got to cover for a long time, because right now they know what they're facing with the pass rush that the 49ers have.
Yeah, and last week we saw C.J. Stroud go for 300-plus yards with a cast of nobody wide receivers. So it's I don't think too far of a stretch to imagine a scenario where Jackson Dart starts to run a little wild against the 49ers secondary. And you're right, it's going to come down to how good coverage, or how good of coverage the 49ers secondary can play, because we know that the onus is really going to be placed at their feet, because this pass rush has just been non-existent. And so you're asking that secondary to cover for maybe 3, 4, 5 seconds, and that is a long time to leave your guy out there on an island. But like you're saying, like you were also kind of getting at, the running quarterback thing, that's kind of where I want to go. Jackson Dart, as you said, has been pretty mobile this year. He has also shown kind of an ineptitude when it comes to sliding. He seems like he's never played baseball at all in his life. He never had to slide into second base and break up that double play. You know what I mean? But he's gritty, he's grindy, and the 49ers have had some problems with these mobile quarterbacks in the past. So I think, like you're saying, zone defense, clearly the way to go in this one, right?
Yep, that's the only way to go, because he can lead up some yards. And do we have anybody on the 49er defense that can take that that can put a woo lick on him? Like he got one against Philadelphia, and he had to take a trip to the tent. So they can get him in the tent. They got a chance, because then they'll get Russell Wilson. And Russell, he needs to know he's one of them kind of guys. It's time to go.
Yeah, we were talking about that a couple shows ago, when it's when you're on like your fourth or fifth team, and you kind of are just hanging on, and you're giving a lot of high fives and holding a lot of clipboards on the sideline, maybe it's time that you just ride off into the sunset. He's got Sierra at home. What is this man doing playing football still? I just have no idea what he's doing with his life. Let the kid play. Let Jackson Dart go out there and be that starting quarterback. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Russell, he's done it. So why even try to keep going? I've said it before. I'll say it again. When you get to a point where you don't know when to leave the game and the game leaves you, it's time to go, because then when the game leaves you, the respect leaves too. And guys don't respect you anymore. It's like, oh man, that's old Russell Wilson. He can't do nothing no more. All he can do is throw floaters over the middle, and they stay in the air too long and get picked. So it's time to go.
Yeah, and he has, struck fear in the heart of many a 49er fan throughout his NFL career. I don't think he's really putting fear in anybody's heart at this point in time. I mean, if you're on the 49ers defense and you were to see a situation where if Jackson Dart did have to go into the tent like he did a couple weeks ago, and you see Russell Wilson out there, you're just licking your chops in that situation. And that's very evident that the New York Giants don't feel very comfortable with him in that situation either, based on the last time that we saw Russell Wilson on the field and Jackson Dart was in the tent. You saw Brian Dable going over and try and sneak into the tent to go see what's going on. Did you see that? He got fined.
Yeah, I saw it. He got fined. He was going in under the tent and had the smelling salts in his pocket and was going to hand it to him and say, get back out there. But the game has changed so much that it's hard to find. Well, they got a good backup quarterback, but that's who's the next guy in line for them? It's God, he played for everybody too. That's in New York now.
Jameis Winston. That's right. Yeah, got to eat a W. Yeah, I know who this is. Jameis Winston. Yeah, I kind of wondered why they went with Wilson over Winston in the beginning of the year, personally.
Hey, me too. Yeah, and right now Russell is, like you say, he's just a clipboard holder. And what you gonna do on Sunday? And he's telling these kids, "Well, son, I'm going to the game. I got to hold a clipboard today."
He got to do his whole little pregame routine and then just go sit there on the sideline, standing, holding the clipboard. But yeah, Jameis Winston, man, I mean, he's probably going to throw you, 20 interceptions, but he'll throw you 30 touchdowns too. So I don't know why the New York Giants did not go with Jameis Winston instead of Russell Wilson to start the season. But nonetheless, Jackson Dart has a hold on that starting quarterback role at this point. And this team, though, I mean, without Cam Scatterbo, he's an identity guy, right? Like he was the heart and soul of that team. Like Jackson Dart is the quarterback who's going to drive that bus for a long time there in New York. But the bus itself feels like it was Cam Scatterbo, right? Like Jackson Dart was just pointing them where to go and sending that little demon into the wall, full head of steam. And he's just running through people left and right. And just, man, he's been such a fun guy to watch this year. And you hate to see that injury. But if you're the 49ers defense, you're sitting there looking at this backfield of Tyrone Tracy Jr. and Devin Singletary now. I don't think the 49ers are going to have as hard of a time getting those guys on the ground as they had getting those Texans running backs on the ground last week, right?
Right. I think they should have them in third and long quite a bit. So can they cover Robinson, though? Do we have a guy that can cover Robinson? He's the best receiver, right? But
yeah, I hope so. I hope they do, because man, this is a wide receiver 2 or 3 on most teams in the NFL. If you can't cover him, who can you cover?
Yeah, and you got what's that, Bellinger? He's a sneaky guy. He gets open. He's one of them guys that knows how to get open too. But the quarterback just got to get used to throwing to him, and he makes things happen, I think. But you're going back to the Giants. And when we do our picks, I don't know who I'm taking this week. I might just go like we did 2 weeks ago and just say, give them a chance.
Yeah, I mean, we should have all picked. We said it last week. We should have all picked against the 49ers.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, but then we was picking because of the record. Yeah, and same thing this week. Are we picking because of the record? So are we picking because of the best team? You never know.
Yeah, and the Giants, I mean, last week they lost to the Eagles 38-20, but the week before, They barely lost to the Broncos. It was that game where they let the Broncos just have that monstrous fourth quarter comeback. The Broncos had no business winning that game. And the Giants actually beat the Eagles the week before that. So, I mean, you're looking at their recent games, and you could have maybe ended up with a situation where the Giants were 2-1 in their last three, beating the Eagles and the Broncos in back-to-back weeks would have been a nice little feather in their cap. And obviously they played much better since Jackson Dart has become the starting quarterback of this team. But ultimately, I think that you got to find a way to just kind of out-talent the New York Giants, right? Like, this is a team that you definitely, like, you can look at the 49ers roster and the New York Giants roster, and the more talented roster, even with the injuries, is the San Francisco 49ers, in my opinion. And so maybe it's a situation where you can just go out there and win one-on-one matchups for once. I mean, we've seen the 49ers lose a lot of one-on-one matchups this week or this season. Dwayne, do you think that there's a chance for them to just go out there and just really just win at the point of attack across the board for the 49ers? Do you think that this is a week that we could see something like that happen?
I think so. You can't look at you're looking at that 6-2 record, and I'm sure the 49ers are too. And they're thinking in the back of their mind, how can we let a 6-2 team beat us? And if they get caught in that, this is going to be a cakewalk, then that's a bad place to be. You got to go out and play scared against a 6-2 team. You can't let them get their neck up. When they get their neck up, they start controlling the ball on you like Houston did, you're in for a long game, because any minute, any second on that clock, come alive and start scoring points on you. It makes it scary.
Yeah, and the 49ers, I think it can't turn into a high-scoring game, because I don't know if the 49ers have enough in the tank to put up, 35 points, for instance, in a single game right now. I mean, with all the injuries that you got across the board, with the running game as maligned as it is, with Jawan Jennings back on the uncertainty. I mean, he's been linked to a lot of trade discussions this week as well, back on the trade block. I mean, it feels like there's a lot of weird stuff going on in 49er land right now, and trying to trying to read the tea leaves has been tough this season, but they've still been able to win. They still have a winning record. And this feels like a game to me that you just can't lose. I'm not going to go as far as saying that it's a must-win game, but if you're looking at looking into the future after this game, going into Rams week, having lost a couple games in the row, sitting there at 5-4 with the potential of falling back down to 500 with a loss to the Rams, that's not going to be very good. If you go in there at 6-3, maybe you're riding a little bit of a wave, feeling like we've overcome so much. You get another week to maybe, hopefully, get some of these guys back, like Pearsall and Brock and in company. But I don't know, man. I mean, D Winter's not playing or not practicing today as well. So that's another big thing. But in general, the 49ers, I think, can't lose this week. Do you think that this is a big pivot point potentially for this team?
Yeah, I do, because next week it's a whole different story. So they got to go in and make it happen against this 6-2 team. There's no way you're going to let them get their neck up on you and control the line of scrimmage on offense. And you got to get McCaffrey running the ball. And the only way to do it is go heavy. Go heavy. Go smash mouth early. Okay, what I'm saying, go heavy with the big starting offensive line, big starting receivers. I'm talking about 2 tight ends, and pound them. You got to pound them. You got to take the wheel away from them, because if you can do that, then you got the game in the bag. And they got the big guys that can handle it. I'm talking about the tight ends that can handle they can handle a big game. And you're gonna get in matchups, you're going to get advantage in matchups, because if you put Kittle out in space, who's going to cover him? Who's going to cover him one-on-one? Okay, they got to put a linebacker on him, and I don't think the Giants have a linebacker that can handle Kittle by himself. I could be wrong, but maybe they do. But
I mean, Bobby Okereke, I don't think any linebacker in the NFL, except for maybe Fred Warner, when he's healthy, can handle a George Kittle in pass coverage, which is exactly why he's got to get more than 3 targets this week, right, Dwayne? I mean, we were saying this as the as a big point in this, and I think that might be the biggest key to this game. Like, we've talked about a lot of things that the 49ers need to do to win this one, but that might be the single biggest point is George Kittle getting the football in space. I mean, force feed the guy targets if you have to. You saw what happened when Mac forced that ball to George Kittle in the end zone. It ended up being a touchdown. So what do you think is the number of targets or receptions that George Kittle needs for this 49ers team to get a win on Sunday?
I think if he can get eight, and he's going to get over 100 yards, okay? And they got to give him 8 touches, okay? And I know for a fact that when you get one guy like that, and they getting their hands on the ball that many times, he's gonna put your offense in great position. And we go back again to how we're going to do that. How that offense is going to do that is get the ball out quick. Don't be sitting back there holding the ball, because, again, he's always open.
Always open. You just got to throw it to him, man. And like we said, the amount of targets that he's had this year, I know he's only been healthy for 3 games, but 11 targets for George Kittle over 3 games. I mean, that should be 1 game's worth of targets for George Kittle. You know what I mean? Not 3.
Yeah, exactly. It should be 1 game for him. And right now, he's the only player we've been talking about. We got to bring someone else along too. Who's the next guy?
I mean,
Bourne?
It's going to be thin after that, man. Because, I mean, if you're looking at this 49ers pass catching group, the number 1 pass catcher has been Christian McCaffrey. He's got 56 receptions, and the next closest is Kendrick Bourne with 28. So Christian McCaffrey has been, I mean, the anchor by a mile for this team. Obviously, they're going to have to ride Christian McCaffrey again in this one, but you need somebody else to kind of do some of this heavy lifting, right? And Kittle can definitely lift some. I mean, you've seen the physique. He can lift some heavy weights, man. I mean, get George Kittle out there in space. Let him use that big old body and run wild all over this Giants defense. Let him get into space and see what he can do. Like Brian said, the lone remaining yak bro on the 49ers. So hopefully they can get Kittle the ball. I think he needs at least, I'm going to say 6 receptions. I think he needs at least 6 receptions, 10 targets for my guy. Give him 10 targets or more and just force feed George Kittle the ball. If you lose while trying to get George Kittle the ball, I'll live with that, man. But you can't lose and not try to get George Kittle the football. That's just not even trying, in my opinion. You can't go out there and just expect Kendrick Bourne and Demarcus Robinson to carry this offense. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. We've seen time and time again that this pass catching group just does not have what it takes without Brandon Ayuk, without George Kittle being a big centerpiece of it. It's hard to move on from the absence of a Deebo Samuel when this wide receiver core looks as the way it does. I mean, I think you'd be silly to say that you wouldn't want Deebo Samuel out here. And I know that his time with the 49ers, it felt like the right time for him to leave. But still, I mean, you're hurting at that position big time. And the 49ers, you got to find a way to get your best players the football. George Kittle, other than Christian McCaffrey, is your best player on the field offensively. So got to find a way to get him the ball. It's as simple as that.
And that's on Kyle Shanahan too. He's got to be more creative than you were last week, because I didn't see no creativity in the game plan at all last week. And I hate to repeat myself on that. And give that offensive line a chance too, because I think they're better in the power game than they are in zone blocking. They do a good job when they're blocking for McCaffrey in the power game, when they're pulling and trapping, and run more of that. And
yeah. I mean, we saw that in the Atlanta game when they actually were able to run the football, was the 49ers going out and dominating one-on-one matchups up front and creating some lanes for Christian McCaffrey. It's the only time we've seen it this year. So hopefully we can see a little bit more of that. And real quick, before we head to our break, I wanted to get to one more thing I just saw in the chat. Filthy Casual Fan says, more reps for Jordan Watkins. I mean, I hope so, man. He's the one guy with any speed in this wide receiver group that's healthy right now. I mean, your speed guy was going to be Ricky Pearsall, and he's, had the knee all season long. DeMarcus Robinson can give you a little bit of something on the outside, but he has been underwhelming this year so far. So, I mean, it's got to be Jordan Watkins. That's where that big play ability can come from, in my opinion, is Jordan Watkins. And he's very, very, very green, very inexperienced, but maybe get the kid some chances and see what he can do. I mean, why not? What else are you gonna do? It's at this point, it's just kind of like throw it at the wall and see what sticks, right? Like you know that you got Kittle and McCaffrey. Everybody else, it's kind of just put the rocks in a bag, shake them up, reach in, and see what you got, right?
Yeah, see what comes out the bag, but get him the ball, run reverses with him, do something. Be creative.
Yeah, run a little jet sweep action, see if you can get Watkins in space and some blockers out in front. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Let's take a quick break here, and on the other side, we will wrap this one up. We'll get you our picks for Sunday's game, and we'll send you all on home with hopefully some good vibes for the 49ers going into Sunday's matchup against the Giants. Don't go anywhere here on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and alongside me, my guy, four-time Super Bowl champion, Dwayne Board. Brian Peacock had to get going a little bit earlier, but I do think Brian was leaning 49ers in this one, just to get his pick out there. If he was going to go with the Giants, maybe we'll let him correct us next week. But Dwayne, before we get on out of here, man, I need a pick from you. Who you got this weekend?
Oh man, you putting it on me. I'm gonna try something different. Okay, I'm going with the New York Football Giants.
Oof, making it official, huh?
Yeah, I hope it works.
I mean, the last time we all picked against them, the 49ers ended up winning that Rams game. And what do you think the final in this one's going to be? A lot of points, or you think it's going to be hard to come by some touchdowns?
I think it's going to be 21-17. But the only reason I say that is because he got a running quarterback, and the 49ers don't have a running quarterback. And if they lose him, we're in trouble. Well, 49ers are in trouble. So.
Well, the 49ers do have a running quarterback. It could be Martinez time if Mac Jones is injured and Brock's still not ready to go. And then you kind of got to run the football with the quarterback because that's what that guy does well. So hopefully the 49ers don't end up in a situation where they got a mobile quarterback back there. Otherwise, that's not going to be, I think, a very good situation for the 49ers.
Well, Jason, Jackson can make it a long day for him if he pulls the ball down and take off, because he can make it happen once he get in the open field.
Yeah, and as the chat is pointing out right now, Fish and Chips, what's up with D and Filthy Casual fans saying no D Winters. Yeah, D Winters did not practice today for the 49ers, and that's a big deal, man. If he is not out there for this squad against the Giants, and you already are down Fred Warner, and you're already down Nick Bosa, I don't know how many more guys on that front seven you can afford to lose. I mean, it is just getting ridiculous at this point, man, how many guys are injured. Did you see that stat that was like some ungodly number of injuries, like 2,000 something missed games in the Kyle Shanahan era due to injuries since like 2017. And it's like by far the most missed games due to injury for any team in the NFL over that stretch. It is just, it's almost like mind bending how many injuries the 49ers can have. And I know it's football and I know injuries happen, but they don't happen like this to every football team, right, Dwayne? I mean, have you ever been on a team that has had this amount of injury problems?
Well, no, because I think it goes back to training camp where they protect the players too much. They don't let them work enough in training camp. They don't let them play enough in preseason games. So when they come out, their body's not in tune to taking the pounding or the hits, and I think it has a lot to do with that. When every week you see Trent Williams has a Veteran Day. How many Veteran Days can you have when you never wear pads? Okay, all you do is just go out there and half walk through every practice. How can you miss that? I don't understand it.
And we got the exact number, Mudslinger, coming in with the 2,036 missed games due to injury. That's insane, man. Like, I don't even have words for that. That is so beyond just anything that you could prepare for as a team. I mean, when you're losing guys left and right like that, there's just nothing you can really do at that point. So hopefully the 49ers can find a way to kind of weather the storm. I do, Dwayne, I'm gonna jump in the boat with you, man. I'm gonna pick the New York Giants to win this one as well. I think the 49ers lose this one 24 to 20. I'm gonna go 24 to 20. And we'll see what happens. Hopefully I'm wrong, man. I hope I am wrong. I really genuinely hope we are both wrong.
Eric, I'm with you too. I'm hope I'm wrong. I'm wrong too. I'm with you. Hey.
Hope we come back here on Sunday and discuss how wrong we were. Well, actually, I will not be here with you on Sunday. You will have Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker on the Sunday post-game version of the 49ers Squad show. And I'll be on assignment, as they like to say in the industry. So I'll be back at it with the guys on Wednesday. But Dwayne, that's all the time we got for today, man. I will see you in about a week. And I think the Giants are going to win, but go Niners. Obviously, it's always go Niners.
Yeah, go Niners. That's it. You're right.
And man, if I could just get one thing from this defense this week. I know we got the turnover last week, right? Like we finally got that interception from Diamador Lenore. I want to see a defensive touchdown. And I know I'm asking for a lot here because the 49ers defense is not one to score a lot of touchdowns lately. But Dwayne, I know you got one of those in your career. What was that like you see that segment that they do on Sports Center every week now, the big man scoring the touchdown segment. And what was that like for you being a big man scoring that touchdown? You only had one, correct?
That's it. It was against the team that I hated the most. It was the Rams. It was in Anaheim, and it was a third down. They was backed up, and I was able to get to the quarterback. I sacked him, took the ball away from him, and all in one play. And it was the first time it was ever done in the NFL. So,
wow, we got to get you out there, and maybe we can generate a 49ers defensive touchdown. We just need Dwayne Board on the line again.
Yeah, like I said, they don't make them no more part.
They don't make them no more. I like they used to. Yeah. It's all the time that we got for you guys here on the Locked On 49ers Squad show. A fun one today, and hopefully the 49ers can get back on track with a win against the New York Giants this weekend out there in the Meadowlands. And hopefully, I mean, I don't even want to throw this out there into the ether because bad juju vibes. I don't want to even bring it up, but I feel like I got to at least mention this before we get out of here. That MetLife Stadium, that MetLife turf, man, it is a monster and has caused a lot of injuries these last few years. We can really, really, really not afford any more injuries to this 49ers team right now. So hopefully that turf monster doesn't come up and bite them out there at MetLife in the Meadowlands. And hopefully the 49ers can come back with here, my checklist, my ultimate checklist: no new injuries, a win, Kayvon Thibodeau in tow. Can we get all three, Dwayne? You think we're going to get all three?
Hey, I think it's a possibility. Put a name on the seat on his plane. Whose seat is this? Right?
We'll see what happens on Sunday. That's all the time that we got for you guys today here on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, for my guy, Dwayne Board, and Brian Peacock, who was with us earlier. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Wow. Have a good week.